Right, yes. Someone is standing outside, but I can't see who it is because his face is directly behind the logo that's on the door.
Right, it's Brendan.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell it was him because the way where I'm sitting, like his face was directly behind the...
Brendan is the guy around here who has been making us all these great graphic art things for our shows.
Yes.
The new morning show one. Yours is great.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Heavey, Rob Azevedo.
Yeah.
The Weekly Die-On.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
Right.
Yes, yes. And John has handed me his phone
Really?
with this story on it, which I can no longer see because it went to the little screensaver there, but it's about the controversy. Do you just want to tell us about why you were handing me this?
Well, I always send you stuff in the last minute. But
yes.
I was up at the Carol Robideau asked me, I write about the Veterans Administration.
That's right.
Medical Center for her.
Yes.
And she asked me to write about, there is a controversy over the missing man, POW MIA table up there. They put a Bible, actually a Catholic Standard Bible, which I didn't even know things like that. There were different Bibles because I stopped going to church when my grandmother died when I was 6 years old.
Well, that's pretty much what I did.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's up there, and there was a complaint filed by people who objected to it, and it was removed briefly, but then it was put back, and federal lawsuit was filed today. And the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs in Washington, is doubling down on it. Because as you know, Trump has the thing about religious freedom.
Yeah.
I think
and he's a very godly man.
The local VA people tried to broker a compromise, in my opinion, from what I see. But
it's been going on for a few months up there, right?
Right.
With that table.
Started in January, then in February, the people, the POW, MIA people insist that Bible should be there. And they actually got a plexiglass box with a big master lock and put it on there, which I guess they said they were going to, which to many people that makes it doubly offensive. But there is litigation, going through the Supreme Court now. What is it called? Blandensburg Cross. The Peace Cross was built in 1925 in Maryland to commemorate the war dead. And it's this 40-foot cross, and it's based on the crosses of the dead from the cemeteries of World War I. Except it wasn't just Christians that died. There were also Jews.
Right.
And,
of course.
They filed a brief in the case. And the Establishment Clause, that's Article 6 of the Constitution. It's called, the separation of church and state. And in the Warren era, particularly when I was a little boy, but starting in the 50s, they really liberalized things where, I remember people couldn't say a prayer. They stopped us from saying prayers in a public school like in 68. That was from like a 63 case.
Can I ask a quick question about being in school and the whole...
yeah, sure.
No, but it's funny. You still get up and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance and you say under God.
Yeah, we had to do that of course I went to a Catholic school, but yeah.
Yeah. And, but that wasn't put into the allegiance to the 50s, and it wasn't put on currency to the 50s.
I don't think they do it now, though, do they? I don't think they include under God now in public school, do they? I don't think they do.
Well, it's optional, Yeah. I guess you can, you can't. It depends, because it used to be litigated towards the liberal way, and now with all the Republican appointments on the court, what is it? It's only 3 Democratic appointments left. It's going the other way.
Right.
But it's going the other way pretty rapidly. And it's really interesting because this is going to be, I think, a major case because whenever this organization, for military veterans, for, religious freedom from being exposed to the stuff, they usually remove the Bibles. But now the VA is taking a stand. And I just sent Carol the text of my article.
Well, wait, I want to. So just to clarify, who is suing who exactly? All right. So while John's getting his phone, Jodo says in the Facebook live chat, sirs, what radio station are you on? I can't see it on the mic. We're on WMNH 95.3.
Right here in downtown Manchester, on Elm Street.
Yes. So who is actually suing who?
A Manchester law firm, Dave Nixon's old firm, filed suit for a veteran, an Air Force veteran who was a pilot. You can see it on the Union Leader and other sites that they want to remove the Bible for being offensive and for violating the Establishment Clause.
Dr. Jeff Cassell joins us in the Facebook live chat. Oh, Jodo is also asking, are you in Manchester, New Hampshire? Yes, we are. He says everyone likes free, especially Bernie Sanders. Pandora is in the Facebook live chat. She says, hey, everyone. Hey, Matt, what happened to the polls that you were going to do every day? Yeah, other than the that first poll that we did online, we did that online poll, like who's winning the war of words between Donald Trump and the ghost of John McCain. McCain was the clear winner in that. But other than that, none of the polls I was putting up really got much traction. People weren't really that... I did one other one. I put up a poll. Is Joe Biden a friendly grandpa or a creepy uncle? And
why don't you put one up about there should be the Bible? Should the Bible, a Christian Bible, a sectarian Bible with the New Testament, be on display at the VA, which is a public building?
Oh, that would be a good poll and very topical.
Since it's in the news right now.
Yes,
and, the WMUR boards are burning up. But I have the guy's number. He said you could call him.
Why doesn't he call us?
Because he's busy and he's a lawyer and he's dealing with the media. Well, I don't know how long he can talk.
Oh, can we call out on this? I tried to do it one day, and
it is a little confusing.
Well, let me ask him. I'll ask him to call.
Yeah, just ask him to call us. Yeah, unless Easy G's going to call back with some more. That was
just a big rant
about the seduction of food.
Yes, and the.
What do you think he's eating right now?
I don't know. I don't know what Easy G. He can't eat much, right? He has a very, very sensitive stomach, a very sensitive palate.
How can somebody be allergic to so many things?
I don't know.
He's allergic to raw meat.
Yes.
Nobody can be allergic to raw meat.
According to him, he's allergic to raw meat.
Well, that would be disappointing to Glenn R.J. Willett, the people's mayor, and his son, Raw Meat, who called us the other day. Did you listen to that? Or actually, it was Little Meat.
I thought it was Little Meat.
That's right. It was Little Meat who called us.
Is it a guy really called Little Meat?
I think so,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That might be his hip-hop name, but he was calling from Ghana.
Okay.
Very exciting.
That sounds exciting. Now, this is Glenn's son.
Yes. And the whole
I thought he'd be here by now.
And the whole thing is not even the slightest bit creepy.
He's like.
Did he need more money?
The funny thing about the missing man, when you think about it, the MI, they're wait. It's like waiting for him. It is a imitation of the Last Supper, and you're always because we're always waiting for Christ. It's 2,000 some odd years now. I only know religion.
2019
from Cecil B. DeMille. Honestly, I know more from that than anything else. So he's always coming, He's always going to be here, but he never quite arrives. Although I have a sneaking feeling that he's going to come. It might as well be now,
Yeah.
Save us. Bail us up.
I'm not in any hurry to see him because if I understand correctly, and I'm not a master theologian, but I believe when he shows up, that's kind of like the end of the world and stuff.
Right, I believe.
Yeah. And
is that true?
I think that's how it's supposed to go. I don't have time for Armageddon. I got things to do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd even be able to do this show anymore if the world ended.
Does Jesus have anything to do with Armageddon? I thought that was the Old Testament.
I don't know. It's all very confusing
to me. Jesus isn't in the Old Testament.
That's true.
Right. And that isn't Armageddon in the Old Testament or is in the new one? I don't know.
Well, it's in the new one. It's in the book of Revelations.
I was always told.
I had no idea.
I was always told, Hoppy, I was in my late 30s, some gal ran off. If you need comforting, just go in the church and read the Psalms. So I go into an Episcopal place that's open because every Catholic church is closed because somebody else is going to steal something there, because they got good stuff.
Yeah.
And so you open up the Psalms, you're reading all this like it's poetry. Then Lord, why I want you to grab my enemies' babes by the ankles and slash them against the wall.
Very
then
violent.
Another one. and it's beautiful. And then all of a sudden, and oh my Lord, I want you to blind the children of my enemies.
Ooh.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is supposed to be comforting.
I don't think the Lord is supposed to be doing those things.
Well, it
I think
is,
he's
yeah,
supposed
it
to be
depends.
nice.
I mean, just look
Depends
at
on who
the
you're doing it to.
Yeah, look at the whole Passover thing where you put lamb's blood outside the outside your door,
Right.
And the people coming down, it saves you from being killed.
That sounds terrifying. I
Yeah,
don't
you
want
ever saw the Ten Commandments movie?
Yeah, there's one again.
I actually never
You know
saw
what I'm
it.
talking about though? Passover when
It's
God
great.
comes down and everybody who
Saves
sinned,
them.
if they they had to put lamb's blood on their door, and then
Right.
God would bypass you and
Oh.
take really try to get God was killing, like, I don't know how did that work?
Well, the was it Cecil? Yes, Sir Cedric Hardwicke, who had shaved his head for the role, got really PO'd because some soothsayer told him that the Hebrew slaves, the firstborn male, is going to rise up and destroy his regime. And, then end his contract with Paramount Studios.
Yeah.
So, he gets a burr under the saddle. And, you've got the king and Yul Brynner there, with the man bun of all buns, this top knot.
Oh, even
And
back
he's-
then. Wow.
And so they send, well, no, that's before he's born. Well, they send everybody out and they're murdering people, but these two, what they call Anglo-Celtic types.
We have
grab the baby Moses, put him in a basket, and send him into the pool.
Okay, this is a 4-hour-long movie. How long is the
And
story?
then all of a sudden, Charlton Heston's there, 6'4"
Right.
tall.
Well, we have
almost as tall as you.
we have a call. This might be the
Hello?
gentleman you were trying to arrange. Hello, you're on the air. Who's this?
My name is Mikey Weinstein.
Mikey Weinstein. How are you, sir?
Yes, that's who.
Yeah.
That's who we want to hear from. Can you introduce yourself to? This is John Hopwood to Matt Connarton and the radio audience.
Yes, my name is Mikey Weinstein. I'm the founder and president of a large civil rights organization called the advocacy organization called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. We represent around 64,000 members of the U.S. military. About 95% of them are Christians, and they are being people we represent are being tormented for not being Christian enough and not accepting the Christian doctrine that's being pushed down by their military superiors. So we protect the wall separating church and state and support the Constitution in the U.S. military.
Well, is this centered around the current controversy over the Bible that is placed at the VA here in Manchester?
The VA medical.
Yes, we're that's an example of our advocacy there. We filed a lawsuit today with one of our clients as the named plaintiff, and we flew a banner around the VA Medical Center, castigating them for this inglorious, despicable, disgusting display of fundamentalist Christian triumphalism and exclusivity, exceptionalism, dominance, and supremacy.
So what you advocate for? So you don't want? I assume you don't want any kind of religious books or any kind of other symbolism within the VA or VA hospitals
Well, not on the POW MIA table. Let's put it that way. They all have chapels. They all are allowed to do that. The VA itself represents over they've accepted officially over 40 different types of religions for their headstones and their cemeteries.
Okay.
The Department of Defense recognizes, I think it's 240 different religious faiths. But if you're going to allow the Christian Bible, and there in Manchester, they've actually bolted it to the table in kind of a Star Trek force field, transparent, see-through plexiglass case. They bolted it there. And, again, we view that as sticking up the middle finger, and it's like a gang sign of our religion is better than all of yours. So the VA is a state actor. They're not a private company like Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A. They put those things up too, but they're private companies. Mm-hmm. And they put the Christian Bibles when they do POW MIA tables. The VA is a different animal. It's a state actor. It's part of the federal government. And therefore what they're doing is illicit, immoral, wrong, and unconstitutional.
It does seem like by doing it too, the way that they've done it, it really is they've done it in a provocative way, almost like saying, "Yeah, we dare you to try to remove this. We've made it a permanent fixture here."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had other commanders that have reached when in the military that we've had an accommodation where they've taken the Bible off and put down what they call a generic book of faith, which just has readings from various faiths: Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Muslim, and they even keep a bunch of pages blank intentionally for people that practice no faith traditions.
Right, because there are atheists.
We prefer no book be on there. Some people just put a blank book down. But to put the Christian Bible there, and remember, 10 of our 15 complainants there at the Manchester Veterans Administration Medical Center are Christian themselves, as is the lead plaintiff. So this isn't a question of Christian victimization. It's a position of Christian equalization. Christianity is not going to be treated in any exalted fashion, more so than Satanism would be or atheism.
Jenny,
that's how it works in this country.
Jenny in the Facebook live chat is asking, why not allow all books rather than a ban?
Well, it's not up to us. This was placed by the POWMIA organization of Northeast, and they're very militant about having a Bible there.
Yeah.
In fact, you saw the size of that Bible?
Yeah.
That's an altar-sized Bible. We used to have one at my house, and they're big, and I looked it up online while I was writing the article. They can be 9-10 pounds.
Wow.
Now, according to the POWMIA people and the VA, which has declared that a World War II artifact, this was a Bible from a 95-year-old World War II veteran. Now, he carried that into combat. He had it with 18 months in a POW camp, and he escaped the POW camp all the time with a 9-10-pound Bible. Does that make sense to you?
Seems very, very unlikely to me, but irrespective of that, that's his journey. That's great. But the last time I checked, not all POWMIAs are Christian.
Right.
Yes.
And again, that Bible is, like you mentioned, is a altar
Catholic
Bible.
standard.
It's a Catholic Bible. And to sit there and try to argue, as Bob Jones, the head of that POW network, told me that he said, Mikey, that Bible represents everybody. If that was the case, then we'd have nothing but crosses on VA cemeteries.
Right.
We don't.
Right, exactly.
We would only have one religion recognized by the Department of Defense. We don't. We have nearly 250,000. And that's what's this is what is so just wretched about it. And so that's why we have to fight it.
Is this going on at other VA hospitals specifically?
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, the VA, we've been fighting this for 15 years on aircraft carriers, submarines, even airplanes, large cargo planes. They put these things up, military bases and VA hospitals everywhere. We've gotten a lot of them taken down. But we noticed that after Trump became the presumptive candidate in the summer of 2016, not even 2 years ago, not even 3 years ago, we started seeing a much more a lower rate of success here. Remember here, when I contacted the VA on behalf of then 14 veteran families in late January, in just 1 minute past 3 hours after we made the demand, they pulled the Bible off the table, sent me an email saying, essentially thanking us for letting them know about this, and that to make sure we told our complainants, our clients, that the VA there respects everybody. There's diverse. It's a place of diversity and inclusivity, and they wanted to make sure that we told our clients that the Bible had been pulled. That lasted just for a couple, 3 weeks before they stuck it back on there with that bolted, force field around it. And now they're saying no. That has nothing at all to do with religion, which of course is counterintuitive in the extremists. And like I said, why are we even talking about this? This is as stupid as I can possibly imagine. To try to argue that this isn't an act of Christian dominance is literally irrational.
I'd just like to add that first it was removed, and then there was a brouhaha, and I guess there's I've been checking the site POWMIA. I guess there's in a spirit of compromise. What was worked out, it was moved to a case. You see, the table map.
A display case, which a bunch of our complainants still didn't like, but at least it wasn't on the POWMIA table. And that would still be a compromise that we could accept. Our plaintiff, ourselves, we don't like it, but we could accept it, but not on that POWMIA table. See, that is a sacrilege. That is unconstitutional. That is establishment of religion in direct violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution. It's also essentially creating a de facto religion test at the VA, which is in violation of Clause 3, Article 6 of the Constitution. As I said, 2/3 of our complainants in Manchester are Christians.
Yeah.
Right.
as is the lead plaintiff, a very devout Christian.
But they're firmly committed, clearly, to separation of church and state as a principle.
Well, yes, and I wanted to read a quote to you, because I was in the White House, working in and for the West Wing for over 3 years.
Ronald Reagan.
Here's a quote from the time I was in the White House, from Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
Quote, "We were founded as a nation of openness to people of all beliefs, and so we must remain. Our very unity has been strengthened by our pluralism. We establish no religion in this country. We command no worship. We mandate no belief, nor will we ever. Church and state are and must remain separate. All are free to believe or not believe. All are free to practice a faith or not." You put that Bible there, you might as well put, a cross and write the word Crusaders on fighter jets. Oh, that's right. The Marine Corps did that, and so did the Air Force. We stopped both of them from doing that. They had called two of their different airframes, combat fighter frames, Crusaders, and put a Christian cross on those planes.
Oh.
Can you imagine the message being sent downrange when we're fighting against Islamic extremists?
Right.
I didn't see that.
I didn't know that.
I mean, this is just it's willful stupidity.
What?
And but it's something we would come to expect from the Trump administration.
It's willfully
and
provocative.
we're not going to stand for this. So the VA now can simply follow 5 words, which is tell it to the judge. Gentlemen, I don't have too much more time left, but if there are any questions, I think we've been over this subject pretty well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't. I know you're very busy dealing with the media. So
I have a question. Has it ever come to this where you've had to file suit against the VA?
No. This is
Wow.
this is a historic lawsuit. It's never come to this before. This is the first time, and it'll be the law firm that we use is a wonderful firm, Nixon Vogelman, right there at 77 Central Street.
Oh yeah.
In Manchester, Larry Vogelman and his firm have a long history of supporting veterans' causes, so they're fantastic. And we expect to prosecute this as aggressively as we possibly can in Concord, in the federal district court. This is historic. It's never been there before.
One more question. What's your feeling that the Washington, the Department of Veterans Affairs took over? When it came to issuing a statement from the Manchester VA, and it was a very provocative message. The Veterans Administration apologized to all the veterans who were offended by the Bible being taken away, but didn't apologize.
Nothing that I didn't expect from the Trump administration. The fact that you're not seeing anything coming out of Manchester. They're handling it themselves with their ad hominem attacks, rehashing old and incredible crap. And but it doesn't. Like I said, this isn't a complex meal, gentlemen.
Right.
Like Chateaubriand, right? It's a simple hamburger. You cannot put your religion symbol on an important display in a government building. Having it, in a display about a POW in a display case with his helmet and other stuff, maybe that's fine. But on the POW MIA table, there's nothing more sensitive than our prisoners of war and the missing in action.
Right. That's
who often become
memorial.
KIA, and this is just. People like Ronald Reagan and Barry Goldwater will be rolling over in their graves.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
is
John McCain.
wrong, and the VA knew it. They didn't. They claimed they pulled the Bible off, John, by operating out of an abundance of caution. No, they didn't. They did it because they knew it was exactly the right thing. Then they started getting flack back from this POW MIA network, which is represented by the First Liberty Council, a group of fundamentalist Christian, fascists in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We know them very well, and they know us. And then they I guess, got Mr. Montoya, your director out there in Manchester, to put it back with a vengeance, with that plastic transparent force field bolted to the table.
Wow.
I think that was the
strong statement.
idea of Bob Jones, the plexiglass.
Oh, well.
I'm doing some more research, but it's truly amazing because it's going to create that. We've already gone through at the Manchester VA a crisis, and things were getting better. And now, from up above Washington, they are triggering a crisis to pit people against each other. And
that's exactly why we flew the airplane today with that message around the headquarters there, the building, so that people could see it, understand that we're quite serious about this, putting a bunch of exclamation marks behind it. And so this has now been taken over directly by the Trump administration in Washington. I'd love to hear what Mr. Bernie Sanders, what Joe Biden and others would say about this if they come to the Granite State, which is a very important state, plays a very crucial role for Big Mo momentum in the 2020 election. I would love to see, and I think, John, we talked about this, directly reaching out to the I think we kind of know what the Trump campaign is going to say,
well,
but I'd
yes.
love to see that the other 8 million Democrats that are running, what they would say about this. It should be a 2-inch putt. It should be very simple. We are not dishonoring Christians by taking the Christian Bible off the POW MIA table. As I said before, gentlemen, that is not Christian victimization. It is Christian equalization. In America, we don't count heads before enforcing the First Amendment. And that's what Sandra Day O'Connor said, and that's we miss her on the Supreme Court. But you can't can you imagine what would happen if we put the Book of Satan there, or a Quran, or Richard Dawkins'
Right.
The God Delusion, which is kind of
I think we should.
God is not great. These
But we
books
don't
are,
own
kind of
that.
revered as the, quote, Bible for secularists, humanists, atheists, and agnostics. As I said before, John, when we spoke earlier, there would be blood in the streets of Manchester.
I think
why
that-
is it okay to put a Christian Bible there? Someone explain that to me.
Right.
Well, you know what? The VA can explain it to the federal judge.
There you go. There you go.
Interestingly, the VA is claiming that it is a secular display with a Bible.
Yes, these are the same people
No.
who say that look, even Nikki Haley took down the Confederate flag
Right.
on the Capitol of Columbia after Dylann Roof shot and killed all those people
That's true.
at that African American church.
That's true.
It's utter and it's the big lie. It is not a secular display. It is anything but a secular display. And as I said before, our plaintiff is not a nominal Christian. He's a devout
Christian.
devout Christian.
Right.
Former Air Force pilot.
Right.
And we have 9 other Christians in our group of 15. And then, of course, we have the minority faiths, as I mentioned, Jewish, Muslim, Native American, Buddhist, and then atheist, agnostic. And they can argue it's secular. It's very easy for them to say.
Mm-hmm.
I just had someone put a cross on my father's grave the day on Easter. And that became a front page story out here in the Albuquerque Journal because that wasn't a display of Christian love. That was sacrilegious. My father was a World War II Korean and Vietnam veteran, and they put a cross on his grave. There were no other crosses there within 500 feet of that place.
Is there a Star of
So
David?
we know what that was about.
Is
We
there a
know
Star of
exactly
David
what
on
that
his
was
grave?
about. And that's why I said, you nail it down, you bolt it down. That is a freaking gang sign. John, did you see the quote I gave you?
Yes.
Because if not, I'll read it to you right now.
Go ahead.
Here's my final quote on this show, if you guys are ready.
Sure.
That sectarian Christian Bible bolted down to that POW MIA table at the Manchester, New Hampshire VAMC is a grotesque gang sign of fundamentalist Christian triumphalism, exceptionalism, and supremacy. Indeed, a middle finger of unconstitutional repugnance to the plurality and separation of church and state guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution. As a state actor, the VA cannot elevate one faith over another faith or no faith. The VA is wretchedly disrespecting millions of American veterans by doing so. The VA has ignominiously made sure that sectarian Christian Bible sticks out like a tarantula on a wedding cake in that POW MIA display, and they've done so for a reason. It's immoral, unethical, and blatantly illegal under our Constitution, and we look forward to aggressively prosecuting our case in federal court. Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be on this show today.
All right, sir.
Yep.
Thank you so much for
I'll
calling.
talk to you later because I'm going to do some follow-ups on this.
All right, Mr. Weinstein.
Sounds good.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
What's interesting
wow.
is I can show you. They have a table at the Bedford, Mass. The missing man table. If you're not here, Paul, there's POW MIA, a table.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it in the news today.
Yeah, and they don't have a Bible at Bedford, and this
Well,
is
hold on a minute. Now, isn't this
Bible.
display in memory of a soldier
No.
who fought in World War II and he carried this Bible or something while he was fighting?
Well,
That's the story I read. So that's not true. It's false. What I read.
no, the missing man it represents everybody that was a POW MIA. It doesn't supposed to represent anyone, any individual.
No, but okay. So the story I read today was about a soldier who carried this particular Bible that's on display. He held it with him while he was fighting.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the Bible. It weighs about 10 pounds, and allegedly he took it into combat.
But he had it with him in his possession while he was.
Do you honestly think that a 10-pound altar-sized Bible you could take into a German concentration camp?
Well, I'm
Didn't you watch Hogan's Heroes?
no, I
That's the
didn't.
worst show ever.
Worst show ever.
But when you went into a
But
camp,
he had
you
it
were-
with him. He had it with him amongst all his other
We
possessions.
don't know if that's true or not.
That's his claim.
That's a claim.
Okay.
And I find myself, everyone's given. You're given a little pocket-sized Bible. There was a,
All right. Well, let's say if it's true.
which
okay, and let's say, what about the pocket-sized Bible? What if that were the thing? Now, listen, okay, I'm not religious. I'm a Christian. Very, very, very part-time Christian. Okay?
Bro, I've learned everything I know from Cecil B. DeMille.
God hasn't heard from me in months. But anyway,
he hears from me all the time.
How would this be any? I mean, this is a display about as far as what I read, and let's say this article that I read was true. Okay, let's put it this hypothetically, where this gentleman actually did carry a Bible, and let's replace the 10-pound Bible that allegedly is there, and replace it with the pocket-sized Bible that he carried. Okay, yeah, I saw that. I saw it on display.
John is showing you personally.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
It is
so
a 10-pound.
All right. So let's say it was the pocket-sized one, and it was on display there. Would people still get their feathers ruffled, or?
I think so, because the central issue. Well, the central issue is
if it's on the table.
It being on display the way that it is, regardless of how large it is, it's a violation of separation of church and state.
But
it's promoting Christianity in that.
When the original
setting.
complaints were made in January, the people, it was a local issue, and they took it off within 3 hours. Then there was a bunch of blowback, and they moved it into a display case. You have to remember, it's supposed to be in a dining hall. In Bedford, it's in the cafeteria because it's about dining. It's a metaphor for the Last Supper and that, and resurrection or finding your loved one. So it's about the war memorial, and it has a quasi-religious theme even before you put, the Bible on. But then, all of a sudden, Carol Robideau in February, did the story, and the POW MIA were very militant. I was reading things, they're saying, "Oh, we'll just bolt it down to the table," and so you have it in this big plexiglass with a big master lock. That's a statement. That's a statement. It is. I was personally, I wasn't happy.
What's the statement? Do you think that is? What do you think they're saying?
See, I would walk right by it. I would walk right by it and not think of any of these things.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
It would be no big deal if it was The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss.
Are you a veteran?
It was a book that the man carried while he was in battle.
Are you a veteran?
No, but I believe in God, and I'm a Christian, but I don't. But I'm not a religious man. And it doesn't matter to me what book it is that's sitting there. The man fought for our country.
But it's not about one person. That was a Vietnam.
So this article I read today was just made up then on MUR.com. It was a display remembering a man.
No, it's not a display remembering him. They took the Bible. He allegedly was a volunteer there. It's a humongous Bible that nobody could have taken that through the time.
Okay.
The provenance is very fishy to begin with. But the point is, it's supposed to be a generic. This thing is set up when you come into the main entrance.
Yeah.
So you can't avoid it if you come into the main entrance.
Right.
If it was in the cafeteria, and it shouldn't have a Bible in it anyways, it should probably be in a dining place because it is for about the dining. This is really, in your face, and it became very much in your face. Right now, at the same time that this was exploding in February, the Supreme Court was oral arguments for, what was it, Blandensburg Peace Cross, this 40-foot cross in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Right.
And from the oral arguments, it looked like the Supremes are ready to say it's constitutional.
Yeah, this isn't a 40-foot cross, John. This is a book sitting in a display.
But if you have to read, that's a war memorial they've created, and they've made it secular. They have made it about a sectarian religion. Jews died in Vietnam.
Yes,
Jews
they did.
died in World War II. They don't accept the New Testament.
Right.
We could go. I wrote an article for Carol where I go into some of the law because I read the Jewish war veterans amicus brief in Blandensburg. But this is deliberately provocative. You could do it in other things because you should have a Jewish Bible. There is a person. When I hear certain politicians in this city.
So what else is on display with the book?
But I'm just going to say, on the wall, we can go on the wall. There's like a wall of honor for the people that have died in the Wall on Terror. There's a guy, there were Muslims on that wall, Hispanics. There's a guy, people from Africa who died, amongst the first people that died. And, I was in the, I was in the Army, And I served with Jews. I have a family member who's a Muslim. And I've been up there under the old regime where after Trump became president, people felt they could just make anti-Islamic comments, towel heads, this and that. And part of the therapy of the combat soldiers coming back is just like with the Vietnam vets, this continual thing in your mind of the other. Because, you've learned to hate the other. And it is not a good thing for your psyche. So one of the things is you don't use the word gook if you're a Vietnam veteran, or you discourage it, because it just keeps you in that cycle. And then they were trying to teach the kids not to get, back in flashback hell. And then suddenly people are using this. I remember I told you about that, but
Yeah.
So there had been a lot of progress made up there, and they were handling it. But then I believe Washington stepped in.
Right.
Washington's issuing the press release that was so provocative. You see, you're right. If they, my suggestion was you just take it down to the cafeteria, put it there,
Right.
and there's a display case for these, because they sell things to veterans. Then you put in a Bible, put in a
Quran,
put in all the various
Torah,
things to people.
Right.
But see, this isn't for just one person. It's supposed to be for everybody.
Right.
Ah, okay.
And they're
It's supposed to
shoving
be
it
for
in your
everybody.
face. And
it is provocative. When
And if
you come in, it's in a big
Yeah.
plastic thing. It's got a master lock on it. It's like, Jesus.
And if you're walking in there and you're a Jewish veteran or a Muslim veteran or whatever, you've got this in your face. And
No.
it's that whole "we're a Christian nation" thing. And it's,
I was in AIT. That's the school where you go after language school, Russian. You learn how to, the Defense Intelligence Agency is teaching you how to do what you do, communications, which still comes in handy. And we have to go to Easter formation. And one of my friends is Jewish. And, geez, I said to one of the sergeants, I don't want to go through this. At the time, I was more agnostic.
Yeah.
And so they let us go to the back and, just talk amongst ourselves with one of the sergeants and a few kids that came with us that thought it was a bunch of BS because they had a big bunny, some guy that's taller than Peter, or the bunny suit was bigger.
there aren't many people. He's like 6'10". There aren't many people taller than him.
Angela Philbrook's husband is taller than me.
Wow.
Have you ever seen Harvey? Can you imagine if he had a Harvey?
Oh my goodness. Maybe he
About
does
10
have.
feet tall.
Maybe he does have a Harvey, and we just
So
can't see him.
if you're Jewish or you're Muslim or something, you've gone through a lot. In fact, Weinstein, in Carol Robideau's article, and on his website, he talks about how he was bullied when he was at the Air Force Academy, and his sons are, because of anti-Semitism. And Bob Jones said, well, he's just angry. He brought that up about him Jewish. What's the standard? One of the standard tropes about Jews? They're the angry Jew.
I've never really heard that one.
Well, I lived in New York and Boston,
Oh well,
baby.
well, in a big
There was
city,
just a thing about
everybody's angry.
There's an app or a game called The Angry Jew, and the JDL, the Jewish
Oh, really?
Defense League, said, "Oh, okay, this is okay." But
Oh.
this is this case. Dave Colapinto, who was Linda Tripp's lawyer, said nothing's more exciting than one of these cases.
Yeah. No, it is. It's very interesting. I'll be interested to see how it all turns out. I suspect that
They're going to take the book out, Matt.
I would suspect
Yeah.
so.
I don't
Yeah.
know. They're not going to take it up.
They're
going to
put it in a storeroom somewhere, and it'll all be over. I just told you the outcome. All right.
It's good to have Paulie C here.
Yes. Well,
this thing is bigger than
They're making
the
me believe in
monolith.
Jesus.
This is the
Get rid of the
biggest
book.
thing since Monolith in 2001. No, but people get triggered.
Well, of course.
Yes.
I can see how that would happen,
Oh,
but
Jesus.
It's the size of a friggin' a Prius,
Oh.
Jesus, buddy.
No kidding.
There's no
here
way.
we go.
In my opinion, there's no way. Nobody could take that book through that. There was a person, and we'll wrap this up. Clemson.
Thank you, John.
No, but do you want to talk about? There is a guy that went through
Yeah, I stopped by to hear John for half a
a
minute.
prisoner of war camp, and it was.
He's
had
not
one
doing
that's
his
the
show
biggest
tonight.
camp.
So.
Oh, that's why.
Why aren't you doing your show tonight? Just taking the night off?
Oh, I was up there doing this, and I had to bang the article out.
Are you going to the Alderman meeting tonight?
Jesus, that's one of the best.
I'll go with you.
To the Alderman meeting?
Yeah.
Do you get paid?
We'll make
even
a
if I'm
night.
not
We'll
here?
have some laughs, John Hopwood.
Well, I'm so
Right, exactly. I'm gonna throw a bomb at them.
so I want to know before we run out of time. Why are you here, Paul
I
Cormier?
have a new schedule at work.
You do?
So you might be seeing me for the last half hour every now and then. Here.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, lucky.
So what do you
6
just
every week?
go in earlier and leave earlier? Or what?
I go in a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And I leave
Great.
a little bit earlier.
Great.
So
That is great to hear.
That is
yes,
awesome.
But I won't be missing the morning show. I'm not going in that early.
Okay.
So I'll still be able to catch the morning show with you, Peter White.
Yeah, you should come in tomorrow morning.
That is a strong consideration.
All right.
Now, is this something you did you go to your bosses and
No,
say?
they approached me.
Oh,
So,
Did they try to seduce you with food?
No, they didn't.
I'm not
seduce me
trying
with
to
food.
seduce you.
Was Easy G part of this?
No, Easy G. He might be behind the scenes, but it's nothing that I'm in on.
oh, okay. Well,
Because he was offering what were the elderly women were going to seduce me with food, and I had to turn it down. It
Yeah,
was on
obviously,
air.
if they're gonna, they're not like if you're not good looking, they're not going to give you the food.
right. That was what he, which is terribly discriminatory in my opinion.
So you're saying he was mocking me because
Well, I
they
don't
weren't
know.
going
I
to give me
think
the
you're
food?
a pretty good looking guy.
Oh, thank you.
He is a sexy beast.
He's handsome.
Yeah. Yes.
I've never in my life been called handsome.
Well, I know. It's
except
your
by
spe-
my mother.
It's your special day today, John.
Wow. Oh.
Oh, if I only had the hearts around my head. Oh, about 7 or 8 inches.
It's a love fest here, and Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's been an exciting
Four
show.
dudes.
Yeah,
Four
that
guys.
plane, the plane's flying over and it's overcast. You can't get a decent picture. You know how cameras, how quirky they are. I can see it, but the camera can't.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Well, they had a prop plane flying a banner flying over the VA.
Oh, right. And what does the banner say?
Up yours, buddy.
Eat
It
at
really?
Joe's.
Oh.
Bill's Donuts.
Eat it, it was Edith Bills.
Before we run out of time, a couple comments.
I'll give you a picture and you should change it to that.
Couple comments in the Facebook live chat. Rhonda said, "No religious favoritism, all or none, preferably none." And Heidi
What's
Hamer.
with it all?
Heidi says, "I need bolt cutters." So,
Do you like
there
the
go.
name Rhonda? Everybody like the name Rhonda?
I like
Rhonda?
the name Rhonda.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Reminds me
yeah.
of the song "Help Me, Rhonda."
Right. I don't know any Rhondas. I do not have any Rhondas in my life.
Once when I was a kid, there was a Rhonda in
Really?
my life. Yeah, second grade, third grade. But
Really,
other than
Rhonda?
that, no other Rhondas.
Rhonda is a very rare individual. She voted for Trump and regrets it.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
like finding a unicorn. Because most Trump voters I know are literally incapable of being embarrassed or ashamed about anything.
Tonight I'm going to try
Right.
to get Trump to tweet about this if he hasn't already.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, he did tweet about the Kentucky Derby earlier. He likes to weigh in on everything.
Geez, my horse came in 4th. It came in 5th.
Oh, I
but
didn't
it only
know.
came in 4th.
You came real close to a $70 can of gourmet popcorn.
I
Wow.
wanted to come in number
Wow.
3 for the Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
Delicious.
You wanted number 3, right?
Did Bill Berry win?
I forget who. I gotta.
He's
I
claiming
gotta
he
look at
had the horse that got disqualified.
Oh, really? Yeah, he did.
Because we got the 2 best horses.
That's true, and Country Home won, so Bill's out.
Who
What
got
did you do the
popcorn?
horses?
Who got the popcorn? I'd have to look. I think T did. I have to mail it to Florida.
Who won the tacos?
I don't even know. I got to look at the thing.
You're tired?
Am I tired right now? Not too bad. I had a big cup of coffee here this afternoon.
You have to get up awful early.
Not too bad. I get up at 5:30 every morning.
You wake me up every morning.
Oh, well, thank you, John.
Welcome to my world.
I know, right?
Oh,
I told Dean lasted a hell of a lot longer than the other fella.
apparently Angela says she has a cousin named Rhonda. So there you go. All right. Well, we do have to start to wrap up. So no show for you tonight. So you have nothing to plug.
No.
I don't have to program.
You don't have to program.
That's right.
But-
You get paid though, right? Whether
Oh.
we go on or not.
Here we have a call.
I don't want to discuss that on the air.
Let's grab this call real quick. Hi, welcome to
can
Matt
pretend we're
Connarton
on.
Unleashed. Who's this?